guys. Look, I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen each other, but I can explain and I will do just that later on in the video. But for now, let us catch up on what has happened since we last saw each other on Outlaws. Welcome to the recap of Outlaws Season 1, Episode 3 to 10. It's been a while. Let's jump straight into it. So with the Biyela parents now dead, Deli and her husband are trying to take over the family business under this disguise of trying to help out with the farm while the family is still in mourning. I think Deli is actually the one who's ambitious here. She's the one putting the strings behind the scenes, and you can see it in the way that she speaks with Unolwandle, with Bandile, as well as with Sihle. Speaking about Sihle, she and Leruo continue to stoke their romance and cross the lines into starting an affair, even after Sihle has agreed to marry Kwanele and Lawless has been paid for her. On the other hand, Leruo has also promised to marry Unyakallo, so this relationship is just a mess waiting to happen. This relationship actually confuses me, and I think it's Sihle actually who confuses me, but we'll get into that later on in the video. On to Tlali, he is still as reckless and arrogant as ever, and he decides that he's gonna go out on his own after Moretlo and Leruo decide to slow down on cattle raiding and shut down the business for a bit. And we can already see the mess that he's creating by killing more Zulu farmers. And can we actually agree that Moretlo and Tlali's dad encourages behavior by continuing to make excuses for him? They praise his stupidity and they reward his recklessness. Like, I'm just getting mad thinking about it, so let's move on. After the death of his parents, Bandile goes on a killing spree and ends up killing innocent people. And it's the death of Ts'eoles and his crew that introduces us to a cattle raiding syndicate known as the Top 4. How the syndicate actually works is still unknown, so it's something that we still need to find out. But just on a side note, did you guys see the drip on those guys? Those blankets they were wearing, man, they are straight up fire. I could see myself rocking one of those. But how about that cliffhanger we're left on at the end of episode 10 when we see Bab'Dlamini meeting with the Top 4 guys? Vele, this Dlamini family seems shady. I mean, since the time that Bab'Dlamini told Bandile about this 2 million rand that is owed to him but he doesn't expect it to be paid, I was like, man, something's off about this man. Why tell somebody that they owe you when you don't expect them to pay you back? Even his son, Kwanele, seems shady. I mean, I just can't put my finger on it, but there's just something off about him. What was he doing at the Okabeni farm the day of the raid when Bandile and Sihle's parents were killed? Nah, there's something off about this family, and it's something that we just have to wait and see how it plays out. So yeah, guys, that's what has happened since I last saw you guys. So I've decided that I want to take a different route with this show and move away from doing reviews and more so doing recaps of the show. And the reason for this is because I just feel that there's a certain depth missing from the storyline. All the plots that play out are pretty straightforward. There's not much to read from it. And I mean, when I started off doing the review of, or the reaction actually to the trailer of Outlaws, I mentioned in there that I feel like the story is not going to be very original. There's not going to be a lot of creativity or things that we haven't really seen before in other shows. I mentioned in there that it's going to be pretty much straightforward, and that's what I'm experiencing, guys. I'm really experiencing that with this show, and I just feel like there's just something missing. There's like a certain spice missing, either in the show or maybe in my perception or interpretation of it, that prevents it from being the standout show. It's pretty basic and it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. And another thing that I've actually been struggling with is this relationship between Leruo and Sihle. I am struggling to believe this relationship between these two guys. I mean, I can see that Leruo is in love, and it was love at first sight when he met Sihle. But on Sihle's side, I don't understand when it is that she fell in love with this guy. I mean, to the point where you're willing to risk your relationship. I am struggling to believe this relationship, and I'm struggling to actually believe that Sihle is in love with this guy. In actual fact, it honestly feels like this romance between these two guys is being forced in this show, and this storyline is just an afterthought, man. And I don't know if it's just the relationship or if it's the portrayal of Sihle. I feel that her motivations or her feelings are not communicated well enough in the story, and I don't know if this is an issue on the writer's side or on the actress's side in terms of portraying the emotions and actually communicating the story throughout. So I find it very weird every time I see this relationship playing out in the episodes. I'm just like, when girl, when did you actually fall in love with this guy? I mean, you saw him the first time the day your parents died. Sharp, I mean, yeah, he seems like a guy that is chilled, whatever. I mean, guys, I don't believe this romance at all, and I don't see how it is that it's so deep between the two of them. I'm struggling. It's just not believable. So that combined with some of the other stuff that I just mentioned has been a big reason for why you haven't been seeing me showing up for the past couple of weeks, because every single week I just found myself confused about the storyline, and yeah, I just removed a bit of motivation on my side. But I am back, and I am deciding to pivot these reviews. I'm no longer going to be doing reviews on Outlaws. What I will be doing is doing recaps on the episodes, just to catch up on the events that have taken place, and then do some predictions moving forward for the show. So this is the very first edition of predictions for Outlaws season 1.
Look, it's time for the showdown, baby. And you know when I step into it, it's about to go down.
So I actually started these predictions in my trailer reaction video that I did for Outlaws. So go check that one out after this video if you haven't watched it already. But moving forward, so we've seen that the Zulu farmers have come together to fight against the Basotho raiders, and it looks like Bandile is going to be the one leading them. So there's definitely going to be a war between the Zulu people and the Basotho people. There's no other way for peace to happen. And my other prediction is that Sihle and Leruo are definitely not going to break up. They will probably continue on with their affair until somebody finds out. And my suspicion is that Tlali is going to be the one to find out first. That guy has amazing luck. And this luck is like some sort of collateral that he uses to get himself out of trouble, if that makes sense. I mean, think about what happened with Ts'eoles.We. He's the one that got the call that somebody's looking for him, and he used that to sort of like win back favor with Leruo and Moretlo, because he basically saved Leruo's life. So I think Tlali's going to be the one to find out about this relationship first, and he's going to use that against Leruo to get what he wants. And as I mentioned in the trailer reaction video that I did, Sihle and Leruo are going to be at the center of this war between the Basotho people and the Zulu people. I mean, Showmax has been serving us those fire pictures, like Bonnie and Clyde style pictures of Leruo and Sihle. I mean, they like running away together. They've got guns and stuff. So they're definitely going to be fighting for their love and stuff. Sharp. So we've also seen that Bab'Dlamini has an affiliation with the top 4. So this means that he's known all along who was behind the Okabeni farm raid and who's responsible for the killing of the Biyela parents. And since he hasn't told Bandile or anybody about it, it probably means that he's benefiting from these raids in some shape or form. Bab'Dlamini is a straight up thug, and here's how rotten I think he is. He benefits directly from the cattle raids, and then he goes and loans money to farmers who have been raided so that they can prevent their businesses from falling apart, and then they become indebted to him. This man is a snake in the grass, but I want to see how the story plays out. And then we have our headache, Tlali. That man is so unbelievable. He cannot take responsibility for his own actions. I mean, he's blaming Leruo somehow for Duma's death. He's delusional. And I honestly don't see that he will learn from the mistakes that he made going out and raiding on his own. And he's probably going to continue and create even more of a mess. And I mean, we can see that Tlali is, inexperienced. He's reckless, and he doesn't use his brain at all. So I think that he might end up getting caught somehow and be placed in a position where he might need to snitch on his family, or snitch on Leruo and Moretlo, or some situation like that. That's what I think is still going to happen in the upcoming episodes. I'm still watching the show. And yeah, let's see how many I can get correct. How many predictions will be right? I mean, there's certain things I won't be able to predict, like the Bab'Dlamini thing shook me. Even though I knew he's, shady, but I didn't expect that he's actually involved in the cattle raiding. So I'm still watching the show, and yeah, let's see how it plays out. I hope you guys have been good. How are you guys enjoying the show? What are your thoughts on it? Am I delusional? Is this an amazing show? Is this something that you guys are enjoying? And yeah, what are your general thoughts about the show? And what are you guys hoping to see coming up? What do you think is gonna happen in the next episodes that will be following up? Another thing I've decided to do with the recaps and predictions of Outlaws is, instead of doing a video every week, I will do a video every 2 weeks, so twice in a month, every 4 episodes, because the story has been building up slowly and there's not really much to talk about every single week. So I will be releasing a video on Outlaws every second week, which means I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from now.